Hello, this is First Fire Non-Assault Move. Welcome back to the 57th episode in the War in the East series. Let's get a situation report. Second week of September. Let's cover some losses. We'll go to ground losses here. Soviets lost 181,000 troops. This turn, those came from the minor encirclement to the south. And we'll check out destroyed units here. 22 in total. 3 of them were support elements, the rest were division and corps level forces. Not a bad encirclement, a minor one, but still destroying the Soviet field army where we can. We left off with it clear in all 3 Soviet zones. Let's look at the order of battle quick too. Still holding strong at 4,300,000. I think our replacements are coming in as much as we are taking losses. 10,000 tanks, that's fantastic. Soviets still have dipped down to 5,300,000. Still have lots of tanks. They've climbed up actually in tanks, 15,000 now. They were down around 10,000 not too long ago. And here the aircraft dwarf ours as well, and a crap ton of field pieces to contend with. This is telling though. I like that figure being reduced further and further and further. All right, let's take a look at the front. No change along Army Group North. We continued. We resumed more attacks along the frontage from Leningrad south, just to push the Soviets back and gain some ground. Those incremental gains to straighten out the front and keep the Soviets honest. Don't let them defend lightly in too many places. We'll take advantage of that where we can, get very favorable combat resolutions. A routed one here. And we'll go down and let's talk about the most significant action that took place. Here, let's just take a look at it right now. We squeezed another 10 miles closer towards link up, but this is as far as we got. Starting with the northern axis of advance, or the left axis of advance as we're looking at it here, we took Kalinin. It was only defended by 1 Soviet formation. We're able to take it. That's great. That is a little anchor point for ourselves, and it gives us some more freedom of maneuver. We got over this river, and that is the Volga river as it snakes all the way up here. Bridgeheads are absolutely critical in this raging battle right now. The river systems, I don't think I could have picked, well, I guess there are worse sections on the map, but this is a dreadful portion of the map to attack across and in, combined with the density of the Soviet forces. We were able to get across the Volga here, and in force now we have a bridgehead over the Lama River. This is a grind. We are carving our way towards link up. No further progress over the, what is that river? How do we say that? That is the Moskva-Volga Canal. No progress over that. Our Panzer divisions and Panzer Grenadier divisions were running on fumes, very low, all below 50% fuel, and they're worn and torn through all this continuous action. Therefore, we have a significant portion of our Panzer divisions not contributing to the fight right now, just trying to accumulate fuel, resting and refitting, getting rid of some fatigue to be more combat effective. They wouldn't have achieved anything butting their heads against the wall against the Soviets here. There's no way we were going to force a bridgehead over this with what we had available with reduced combat power and still having to shuffle our attacking forces up further and further north and now west. Weren't able to get over this river. We did, however, almost breach the canal to the north with a cavalry division. Cavalry divisions are fantastic. They are great for traversing difficult terrain. We use them. Soviets, it's like a race. The Soviets, as we saw, are now pulling out. They held out to the last second. They do have that 30. They did have that 30-mile stretch to exfil their forces and to start blocking our both the left and the right axes of advance that we have. Their plan most likely is to defend, obviously, and to get as many of their forces out of this forming pocket. We're 20 miles away. What is encouraging about this? Well, let's click on German unit. This is the zone of control and also the ownership of the hexes. They only have 20 miles here and here. They're going to have to cross over a major river, and that takes quite a bit of movement factors to accomplish that, coupled with we will exert zone of control throughout their access route to escape the pocket. It's going to slow down the Soviets from escaping en masse. However, more and more are going to get out, and still, in doing so, it's a it's a bonus plan for the Soviets because in the process of getting out, they're also blocking our axes of advance. We also managed to squish down the Ryzev pocket, just a handful of Soviets left, and we took Ryzev as well, so they do not benefit. They do have a fort level here, a minor one, but they're not benefiting from defending in the city or from a river. These Soviets will be destroyed, freeing up a small section of our forces to either contribute to holding the perimeter or racing to the tip of the spear to the north around Kalinin. All right, moving further south. No threats at all along the flank. The Soviets aren't making any efforts to break in. They'll probably attack a regiment here and there where they can gang up on one. And the pursuit is on now. As the Soviets withdraw, we are collapsing the pocket. Get another look at. Collapsing the pocket now. We are getting some of these hexes in German control. Soviets still have some of theirs, so it's taking a little bit more time for the Germans to move through these Soviet-controlled hexes. It's going to take a bit of time to collapse this pocket. Soviets will be able to defend as they withdraw. Our combat power is not that formidable around a large part of the perimeter of this pocket. We will more than likely see some mini pockets develop as the pocket further collapses. What we need to do, though, is seal it off once and for all. Let's travel further south. Down where there was some action with Army Group South, the pocket has been cleaned up. We saw that on the losses screen. Re-establishing a front, pulled out the Panzer Corps that contributed to that pocket, and we'll have to task them somewhere else. I haven't determined exactly where yet. And then we just look down the length of the front all the way down to Rostov. No change here. We are ready for next turn. We'll see how the Soviets respond once again to the pocket. It's likely that we may still not be able to link up due to the nature of the Soviets concentrating so densely between the left and right axes of advance, and also we could get mud. Waiting to see mud when it first comes around. Again, we'll cut out all the bombs. The Soviets' turn will be pretty short, I'm thinking. And there we have it, bombs away. And I'll be back with the Germans' losses screen. Bombing runs concluded. Here's the losses screen. Germans down to 11,000. That's great. Keep that number low. Soviets very little losses since they didn't attack again. Let's check out the front. Clear weather, thank goodness. It is the third week of September. We're blessed right now. I think there's definitely a possibility to get mud on our random weather table. Let's look at what the Soviets did in reaction to squeezing down the access to freedom to 20 miles. It's a little bit interesting that they didn't occupy certain hexes and they withdrew. I'm sure there's Soviet forces right here, but they gave some ground. Every inch is absolutely critical right now, and they didn't occupy this hex. That would have caused even more trouble for the Germans to achieve link-up. Really? Yeah, this is this is going to be important. What do they have there? Let's do an aerial recon and see what's happening. Let's do that first. I can't believe these hexes are vacant. I can't believe that. If they don't have forces here, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up. If they don't have forces here, we'll force this cavalry corps to retreat over the river. I think we have the combat power to push them back. Once that's done, we just have one infantry corps between link up. I can't believe this is happening. There's got to be Soviet forces here. This is critical. This patch is critical. I can't believe they would leave those vacated. If not, link up here. We now have that bridgehead, and we are going to brute force our way another 10 miles closer to link. What? How did I overlook that? What? Well, that's... I've made mistakes throughout this campaign in the East. This may be the Soviets' biggest mistake yet, not occupying. Why would they not occupy these two hexes? If they occupy these two hexes and they occupied this river, they very likely could have held out for another week and then, in their favor, get mud. Oh my God, I cannot believe, with freedom of maneuver, they didn't occupy this hex, these hexes. Wow. Well, I think now we're going to try link up here because it's a shorter distance to the left axis of advance. We don't have to cross a river. We don't have to fight across a river. We can cross the river. Potentially the Soviets have more forces here to defend. Very interesting indeed why they did that. They pulled back their cavalry. I'm so eager to start this turn. Oh, wow. Why would they do that? And they gave up Ryazan. That could have held up. These forces are doomed anyways. Why give up the city when we see how long Kalinin held out? All right, so mistakes are made. Maybe panic is setting in. Higher headquarters, maybe a great many of Soviet high command is sitting in Moscow, and maybe the stress has gotten to the better of them. Maybe commands did not reach lower level formations at the front. Maybe there was mixed signals to either pull back. Maybe one corps was saying, you are to hold the river, while other forces get out of the encirclement. And in doing so, no one held the river. That is really surprising. I'll take the free chicken. I'll take that for sure. All right, we won't belabor that. We'll get to doing moves and attacks. Let's look further south. What have the Soviets done in the south? Nothing of note, as nothing of note on our part as well. We can now reassemble the limited combat power we have to Army Group South. The forces here that completed the encirclement are well north of Army Group South area of operations. We may have to bring them down to the south and conduct some ops down here near the Rostov-Voroshilov grad sectors. Wow, I can't believe we might do it this turn. It might be possible. Let's check out fuel. Okay, by standing, resting, and refitting, we're able to get over 30, close to 50 among some of our Panzer divisions, and that might be enough. Still have to cross the excuse me, still have to cross the river. Gross Deutschland, you'll have the honor of crossing the Moskva-Volga Canal first into the teeth of the Soviets' main line of resistance. I was going to use these two panzer divisions to attack and widen our bridgehead over the Lama River, and now I'm thinking they're going to attack dead ahead and mass up and remove. Can these three infantry divisions remove these infantry corps? We'll see. We will see. A lot to consider. The attacks, the way we stage these attacks is going to be critical. I'll step aside and do moves and attacks, and I'll be back. I am back sooner than expected. There is excitement in the German ranks. I wanted to capture this as part of the episode's content. We mentioned just a little bit ago the mistakes the Soviets made as they were withdrawing and trying to defend against the left and the right axes of advance. There was some key terrain that they should have continued to hold that would have made link up much more difficult for the Germans. Not that it was easy. We are to the point, we're on the cusp of link up, and I wanted to capture this. What we've done so far is made one attack. Very fortunate. Well, we had some good, decent combat power. Very strong infantry divisions came across the Moskva-Volga Canal, which the Soviets had vacated. Otherwise, we would have had to attack across it. We still might have achieved link up during this week, the third week of September, but we're capitalizing on some of the Soviets' mistakes. And we were able to force the Soviets to withdraw from this hex. Now we are 10 miles away from link up, and we have a plenitude of German formations to move into that hex. I just wanted to capture this. Who will have the honor for what is going to be the grandest encirclement so far? Not many Soviets, I believe, have escaped. It'll be all of these Soviet formations in and around Moscow, even down here, still holding on. Well, they vacated Ryazan, but now all the way down from the south of the Oka River to very south of Kalinin, all these Soviet formations are going to be cut off. Who will have, which formation will have the honors? We have a number of them. I would like to have it one of Bulk's formations. The 17th, I like 17th. The 17th is a calendar date for my wife's birthday, so we'll take 17th Panzer Division, 24th Panzer Corps will achieve link up. And there it is. We will strengthen this link up as greatly as we possibly can, but now we have link up. All right, I'm going to continue. I just wanted to capture that for this episode, and I'll be back. I'm back. Moves and attacks complete. Let's get a sit rep. This is going to be one of the shorter episodes in the War in the East. However, the most monumentous, and we'll look at that in just a second. We made some attacks along the Leningrad front all the way down to Veliky Luki. Again, identifying where the Soviets were weaker along the line. They certainly have pulled troops off the front in front of Leningrad and then all the way down by Lake Ilmen and down to Veliky Luki. So here and there we're gaining some ground to shorten our front as much as possible. And we did capture on camera the link up. We didn't conduct that many moves and attacks this turn. It was all about consolidating the link up, and we are stacked up 3 high, very strong front presented to the Soviets, so there is no chance that the Soviets are going to break out of, wait for it, the Moscow Pocket. It's so amazing to say that. We started to clean up Ryzev. We destroyed the 3 Soviet formations were there and already are pushing our forces back to the front. There are some very tasty strategic objectives past Moscow now that we are finally able to take Moscow. We will be able to look at greater strategic objectives to the east. Some very significant industrial regions that are within reach now once we collapse and destroy all the Soviets in the pocket. And let's talk about that real quick. I did a count. There are over 170 formations in the Moscow pocket. The encirclement is the grandest yet by far, 170 Soviet formations, and that's not counting the headquarters that we can identify. And perhaps some of these are aircraft, airfields with aircraft on them, and they may fly away later. However, it is indeed an epic encirclement that the Germans are able to finally pull off. All along the front on the outer perimeter, no movement at all, resting and refitting. There's about 7 panzer divisions that we didn't even move, or we took one out of the line. They are resting and refitting, refueling. It has been an incredible operation to encircle Moscow, and they are getting a well-deserved rest. Let's move further south. We applied a few of the Panzer Corps along with supporting infantry corps to encircle Tambov and a scattering of Soviet formations here, once again just to get a rupture in the Soviets line. And we want to take Tambov, another victory location, and take that production away from the Soviets. We still have 2 Panzer Corps here. They're fairly light. Well, there's a third here. 3 Panzer Corps here, very light, with only 2 to 3 Panzer divisions each to each corps headquarters. Where we'll apply this combat power, I'm not sure just yet. Speaking of objectives to the further to the east, we weren't thinking about that until we successfully encircled Moscow very much. We were looking at destroying the Soviet field army, and we certainly are going to take steps towards that further with the destruction of all those Soviets in the Moscow pocket. However, now we can start looking at further objectives to take industrial output away from the Soviets and get it in German hands. Alright, so further south from Bogachar down to Voloshilograd and Rostov, no change. We did start to make some attacks here and there where the Soviets are very light in their defense and taking advantage of that with overwhelming odds and having great combat resolution results, routing a few Soviets and straightening the front. As we can see, it's a little bowed out here. Let's look at it overall. It's pretty fantastic. Look at that mass of Soviets that are encircled. In Leningrad, we look at Leningrad now, it is very lightly defended from once we last saw it. That could be the next strategic objective for the Germans as well. And now we're ready for next turn. Let's zoom in a little bit. Well, the Soviets certainly will have a lot to think about. Hopefully it's surrender. Capitulate. Looking at it there, it's very thin where link-up is, but there are some solid German formations to resist any breakouts. Soviets turn complete. There are no attacks. Look at that, below 10,000. That is wonderful. There's a whole bunch of bombs Very insignificant losses for the Soviets here. Let's look at weather. Clear, clear, clear. Very favorable for the Germans. That will greatly assist pocket cleanup. And we did aerial recon real quick. And here the Soviets are starting to condense like they normally do. This is going to take a while to destroy the Soviets, and I fully expect mud will interrupt the operation of the destruction of the Soviets within this pocket. We'll take full advantage of the clear weather as we can. The Soviets will still have a supply source out of Moscow, so they'll continue to defend fairly well, and they had built up the fort levels, and they will continue to build up fort levels while they're in the pocket. I believe they still can do that. It's not going to be a trivial operation to destroy the Soviets. I am not complaining. I am overjoyed. Elsewhere, the German forces are going to rest and refit, juggle the lines, clean up the front, get back our troops into position for future operations. Oh, look at that. What is going on here? The Soviet High Command, I believe, is starting to look at salvaging what they have left of their field army and establishing a new front after this has happened to their forces. And that's all right with me. I don't expect much to have changed. To the south, oh, look at that. I was talking about the tank formations appearing. Look at that. There are 3, well, a tank corps, a mechanized corps, 2 more tank corps, another one, and a mechanized and a tank corps. Yes, tank formations are starting to appear back on the map. And we mentioned we saw some down here. Huh, they pulled out. They made a liar of me. They've been replaced with infantry corps. There were tanks here. Maybe they railed them out, and what we saw down by Rostov is now starting to be those forces. The Soviets are starting to apply them elsewhere along the front. That's pretty interesting. But we'll take Tambov. That'll be good. Not going to be easy. 95. We'll destroy these Soviets here. Add to the more gruesome tally that the Germans are inflicting upon the Soviet field army. And that's about it. Leningrad. Oh, look. Let's look at Leningrad, the front and around Leningrad. No, they didn't pull back at all. Just along this region. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like it. That's going to straighten out our front more and more and be beneficial for the Germans for future operations. Oh my, what? I overlooked that. They are pulling back as well here. Yeah. Soviets are rebooting their front in some places. They are reestablishing positions. There's still a lot of Mother Russia left to defend, and I believe that's in their planning stages now. Where else to defend against the Germans? And they pulled back here as well. All right. Very interesting. I wanted to get a bridgehead over this river in for future operations to take Ivanovo and Yaroslav and Kostroma, a nice little nest of industrial cities here. All right. Just checking out what else the Soviets have done during their turn. Exciting stuff. This is definitely a new stage in the war in the East for the Germans, and we will conduct operations pocket cleanup and cleaning up the front as well, and thinking about what to do next. We always have to look forward. All right. Still looking here. Yeah. We may be able to attack here and there as well along the front. I don't know if we need to. If they continue to withdraw, we'll just catch up to them, get adjacent. Yeah, I'm just wandering around here. I'll check all this out off camera and get a decent sit rep for you for the next episode. This is going to be a shorter episode, but a historic one for the Germans. Moscow will fall. I hope you enjoyed watching. This is First Fire, non-assault move out.